everyone! Today I'm making natural beads from a few different plant materials. And I hope that you will find some inspiration from this. I'm just going to cut some elder. It's all getting quite overgrown here, so it's not a problem to chop a little bit off there. I love this mug. I got it from a local gift shop and it's made by a local potter and I absolutely love it. If I was to have branding, this would be it. It's so beautiful. The little wildflowers and dandelion seeds. So I've got my elder and I'm just going to trim the end so it's straight. And then I'm just going to cut them into little pieces. They don't all have to be the same length. They can be different sizes depending on your preference. Oops. Couple more. And for this I'm going to use my awl. I really recommend purchasing one of these. They're very handy for all sorts of things, for packing down, for poking ends through, and for doing little crafty bits. Yeah, not just for weaving, but obviously it is quite sharp, so take care with it. So I'm just gonna start poking through where the pith is, really carefully. Don't put your fingers at the other end because you'll stab yourself as you push through. So I'm just going to push through and twist around until it comes through the other end, and then gently pull it back out and then turn over and then do the same again. Just be careful of your fingers. And then just keep doing that until you can see a clear hole through the center. can sort of blow through the middle a bit if you want. And just tap it. And you want to do this pretty much as soon as you've harvested, especially in the heat, because it will lose moisture obviously very quickly, so you will struggle to get the pith out once it dries up. These are elder, and you can experiment with different trees and shrubs. Honeysuckle is a good one. I've even done with nettles as well. They're not as strong, but you can experiment with all sorts of different plants. And these are some that I chopped the other day for a comparison. They've been sat out in the sun, so that's what they look like after a few days compared to that. And then I've got some that I made last year with honeysuckle, and just put them up here. And as you can see, they eventually turn more like this kind of colour, and then you can sand them if you want to. I've sanded this one, for example. It's got smoother edges, and then you can use them to decorate baskets, which I have done on a couple of mine. So on this one, for example, you can see I've adorned it with some lovely beads. And it just sort of adds to the charm of the basket. Got my little tea bags in here. Yeah, so it's just something extra you can add onto your baskets. I'm really liking these sycamore leaf stems. Gone a really nice, well, they've stayed a really nice sort of pinky green colour. They've been under a gazebo drying outside. They haven't been in the direct sun, so they've stayed a nice colour. So I'm looking forward to rehydrating those at some point and doing something with those. because it's so warm at the moment, I am just going to not try and get into anything too detailed at the moment. Just sitting and making some beads is a bit of a struggle in the heat. I know there's people in some countries around the world right now who think that we're kind of weak, not coping with heat, but we don't have aircon anywhere really, except for like the occasional supermarket. There's very few hospitals that even have air conditioning here, so we don't really get a chance to cool down. So we're not just complaining about nothing. Even the cats won't come outside in this weather. They're just sleeping all day. So let's have a look at this ivy and see what we think. So we're best, like, we want to go for something that's smooth, really, fairly smooth, so that the pith is going more central through. Otherwise it will be very difficult to poke through a hole. So you can see that's got slight pith in the middle. So we will give that one a go. We've also got honeysuckle here. The vines are very good for weaving, so they're always worth harvesting. And if you have a look at the top section where you've got the woody parts. Not sure if you can see it. Up there you can see where it goes a bit more woody. And that is a good part for making our beads. So this is the ivy, and as you can see, there's a tiny pith. So I'm going to say that's a no. Unless you think you could work with that. I think it'd be very difficult to thread something through there. And look, it's split. It's split. And that's what will happen with some of them. They will split. So that's a no. Another one I know that is quite good is lilac. So I am going to cut some of this back. We've got our honeysuckle and our lilac, so we can have a go with those. We'll start with the honeysuckle, which is probably one of my favourites to use. Just gonna straighten it off. You can see it's got a really prominent centre and doesn't require much poking. It's pretty much hollow already. Just a little bit on this side. But take that through. A lot of these are quite dried out just because it's obviously so hot at this time of day. It's kind of the middle of the afternoon, so I probably prefer to harvest first thing in the morning or early evening. You can also make necklaces and bracelets, other types of jewellery, which I have done in the past. But I do really like using them to decorate my weaving projects and baskets. When I get to about there, that's probably starting to get a bit too thin, so I tend to stop when it gets too thin. I've actually used quite a lot of this vine, so it's probably not long enough to use the rest for weaving now. But I can use it to make some cordage. So I might try and peel the bark off. I really don't like any of it going to waste. I like to just be able to use as much as I can of the plant. So at this time of year, the bark comes off a lot more easily, but it's not working great today. Just purely because of the temperature, I think. Yeah, it's not happening. It's not happening with that today. So I'm going to go on to the lilac. So I'm going to cut nice and thick these ones. And let's have a little look. Oh, that one's gone. This one. So you can see it's got quite a good thick amount of pith inside this one. So this one looks like a really good choice for bead making. Another thing you can also do, once your beads have dried out and look something more like this, you can experiment with some natural dyes, plant dyes, which is definitely a project that I'd like to share on here at some point. And this again is such a mindful activity, and it's so accessible. You know, just if you've got a garden, or if you can just go somewhere for a little walk. Take a pair of secateurs and take a few cuttings, or if you know somebody that's needing to cut their garden back, see if you can go and find a few things that you can experiment with, because so many of these things end up in compost on a daily basis, and we can make beautiful things with them. I really hope that this video has given you some ideas for things that you can incorporate into your baskets. And encourages you to go out into nature and find some stems for bead making. It's nice to be able to make something from nature. Be a lovely gift for somebody. I look forward to sharing more of the same in the next video, and take care of yourselves. Much love.